When I say be relentlessly curious, I don't just mean reading a few articles online or asking a question in a classroom. I mean nurturing a fire inside you to know more, understand more, explore more about the world, about people, and most importantly, about yourself. Curiosity has been the one constant force in my life. No matter what country I was in, what career I was pursuing, or what challenge I was facing. As a little girl growing up in Bareilly, I was always curious about what was beyond the boundaries of my hometown. I'd stare at the stars and wonder what life could look like somewhere else. That curiosity didn't just stay in my imagination. It became the reason I embraced opportunities that took me across continents, cultures, and careers. In my early days in the entertainment industry, I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have family in the business. What I had was curiosity. I asked questions. I watched people who were better than me. I listened more than I spoke. I didn't walk into a room thinking I knew it all. I walked in thinking, what can I learn here that will help me grow? And that mindset opened more doors than talent alone ever could. Curiosity pushes you to be better because it never lets you settle. It whispers to you in quiet moments, what else is possible? It challenges your ego when you think you've figured things out. It forces you to be humble, because the truly curious know they will never know everything. And that's the beauty of it. Even when I made the move to Hollywood, I wasn't walking into familiar territory. I was already successful in India, but here, I was starting over. I had to learn a new system, a new industry, and a whole new culture of storytelling. But instead of seeing that as intimidating, I chose to see it as exciting. My curiosity drove me. I wanted to understand how things worked behind the camera, how casting decisions were made, how scripts were developed. I wasn't afraid to ask questions, even if it made me vulnerable. Because that vulnerability is what led to growth. Curiosity also brings with it a deep sense of empathy. When you're truly curious about people, not just their success, but their journey, you begin to understand perspectives that are different from your own. That makes you a better colleague, a better friend, a better leader. You learn to listen without judgment, to appreciate diversity, and to expand your world beyond your comfort zone. And let's not forget curiosity about yourself. Sometimes we live our lives on autopilot, doing things just because that's the way we've always done them. But self-growth starts when you begin to ask, why do I think this way? Why do I react like this? Can I do better? That inner curiosity is what drives self-awareness, and self-awareness is the foundation of personal improvement. When I look back, some of the most powerful shifts in my life came not from external changes, but from internal questions. When I asked myself, am I truly happy? Or what's the purpose behind what I'm doing? The answers weren't always easy, but they were always necessary. Those questions pushed me to make brave decisions, to walk away from things that no longer served me, and to embrace paths that felt right, even if they were uncertain. Being relentlessly curious also means never letting fear silence your questions. Sometimes we hold back from asking because we're afraid of looking foolish or of admitting we don't know something. But let me tell you this, no one ever grew by pretending to know everything. Every expert you admire started as a beginner who dared to ask. So whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, an artist, or someone simply trying to figure out what's next, nurture your curiosity, read voraciously, talk to people outside your usual circle, travel if you can, and if you can't, explore through books and stories. Say yes to things that scare you a little, just to see what you might discover. Be curious not just about success, but about failure. Ask yourself what each setback is teaching you. Be curious about people who disagree with you, and instead of arguing, try to understand their why. Be curious about your passions, your dreams, your patterns. This curiosity will keep you moving forward even on the days you feel stuck. And above all, remember, curiosity isn't a phase. It's a lifelong mindset. It's what keeps you young, hungry, and inspired. No matter how far you go or how high you rise, stay curious. Because the day you think you've learned everything is the day you stop growing. So be that person who never stops asking why, how, and what's next. Be the person who is always learning, always evolving. Be relentlessly curious. Because in that curiosity lies your greatest power, not just to improve every day, but to truly transform your life. There's something we're never taught enough while growing up. That failure is not the end of the road. In fact, it's often the beginning. Somewhere along the way, we're conditioned to believe that success is everything and that failure is something to be ashamed of. We're told to hide it, deny it, and move past it as quickly as possible. But in my experience, failure is one of the greatest teachers life will ever offer you. I've failed many times. I've been rejected, replaced, misunderstood, underestimated. I've walked into auditions and been told I wasn't right for the role. I've had films that flopped. I've trusted people who let me down. I've tried things that didn't work out. But here's the truth, every single one of those moments taught me something I couldn't have learned from success. Failure forces you to reflect. When everything is going well, we rarely stop to question ourselves. But when things fall apart, when that big opportunity slips through your fingers, or when your efforts don't give you the results you hoped for, that's when you stop and ask, what happened? What can I do differently next time? That question alone is powerful. It opens the door to growth. One of the most difficult but defining moments in my life was when I first transitioned to the international entertainment industry. I had been hugely successful in India. I was working with the biggest names, playing lead roles and winning awards. But when I came to the US, none of that mattered. I was starting from scratch. People didn't know me. I had to audition again, to prove myself again, to build new credibility. I heard a lot of no's. Doors were shut in my face. And yes, it stung. But I didn't let those rejections define my worth. Instead, I let them sharpen me. I took note of what I could improve. I worked harder. I trained, I learned, I asked questions. That humility that comes with failure, it can be your greatest fuel if you let it. Failure is also a test of character. It shows you who you are when things don't go your way. Do you crumble or do you rise? Do you give up or do you find another way? The world loves to celebrate success, but what really builds strength is how you handle defeat. I've seen people with all the talent in the world give up too soon because they couldn't deal with failure. And I've seen others with average talent rise to incredible heights because they refused to let failure stop them. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about getting up one more time than you fall. You also start to realize that failure can open doors you never expected. Sometimes, what you think you want isn't what you need. I've had projects that didn't work out, and in the moment it felt heartbreaking. But later I found myself on a better path, one that I couldn't have imagined if the original plan had worked out. That's the strange gift of failure. It redirects you. It clears the way for something more aligned with your purpose. Another lesson I've learned is that failure teaches empathy. When you've struggled, when you've been knocked down, you understand other people's pain more deeply. It humbles you. It reminds you that nobody has it all figured out, and everyone is trying their best. That awareness makes you a better collaborator, a better friend, a better leader. One of the things I tell young people is to take risks, big ones. Step out of your comfort zone. Try things you're not sure you can do. You might fail, yes, but you'll also discover what you're made of. You'll stretch your boundaries. You'll build courage. Playing it safe might protect you from failure, but it also keeps you from growth. So don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of never trying. The truth is, failure never feels good when you're in it. It can be painful, frustrating, even embarrassing. But if you can sit with that discomfort and still choose to learn from it, you'll come out stronger. You'll have wisdom that no textbook can teach. You'll develop grit, and that grit will carry you further than talent or luck ever could. So, when failure knocks on your door, and it will, don't shut it out. Invite it in. Ask it what it's here to teach you. Use it as a mirror to reflect, as a tool to rebuild, and as a reminder that your story isn't over. Because every person you admire, every story of success you've ever heard, includes moments of failure. It's not the obstacle, it's the path. And you too have that strength within you, the strength to rise, to learn, to grow. Let failure teach you, let it shape you, and then let it fuel your comeback. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in life, and especially in this industry, is that perfection is an illusion. It's something we chase, often unconsciously, thinking that if we can just be perfect enough, look perfect, speak perfectly, behave perfectly, then we'll be enough, then we'll be loved, accepted, celebrated. But the truth is, perfection doesn't exist. And the more we chase it, the more we end up feeling like we're never quite good enough. I've struggled with this myself. Being in the public eye, you feel this constant pressure to always be on, to always say the right thing, wear the right outfit, make the right choice. It's exhausting, and it's not real. Over time, I realized that trying to be perfect only leads to fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being seen for who you really are. But focusing on progress, that changed everything for me. Progress means showing up. It means trying again. It means allowing yourself to be human. It's about saying, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I'm getting there one step at a time. That mindset is powerful because it gives you the space to grow. It gives you the freedom to learn and the permission to be a work in progress. When I look back at my journey, it's never been about one big moment that changed everything. It's been hundreds of small moments, tiny improvements, constant learning, quiet efforts behind the scenes. Whether I was learning a new accent for a role or preparing to perform live for the first time, it was never about getting it perfect on day one. It was about being better than I was the day before. I remember when I started working in a new language and environment in Hollywood. I had so many doubts. I wasn't perfect at it. I made mistakes. I had to relearn so much. But I didn't let the idea of being perfect stop me from moving forward. I focused on progress. I asked for feedback, practiced endlessly, and allowed myself to grow. And eventually, the things that felt impossible became second nature. Perfection, on the other hand, is paralyzing. It makes you second-guess every decision. It keeps you from starting because you're afraid of not doing it just right. How many times have you held yourself back from applying for that job, starting that project, or even speaking up in a room because you thought you weren't ready yet? That's perfection talking. And it's a liar. The truth is, nobody starts out perfect. Every master was once a beginner. Every leader made mistakes. Every icon was once unsure of themselves. The difference is, they kept going. They chose progress. They knew that confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from persistence, from getting up after every stumble, from learning as you go. We need to give ourselves the same kindness and grace we so easily offer to others. We cheer for our friends when they try something new, even if they struggle. We celebrate their small victories. But when it comes to ourselves, we expect flawlessness. Why? You are allowed to be a beginner. You are allowed to not know everything. You are allowed to try, fall, and try again. That's how growth happens. I also want to say this especially to the young women out there. Don't wait until you're perfect to take up space. Don't wait until you meet every single requirement to raise your hand or chase your dream. Your voice matters, your ideas matter, even if they're still forming. Progress over perfection. Always. When we focus on progress, we also learn to enjoy the journey more. We start to notice the little wins. The day we felt more confident speaking up, the time we pushed through our fear and did the thing anyway, the improvement in our craft, even if it's just a small step forward. Those moments matter. They add up, and they build a foundation that's far more sustainable than perfection ever could. Life is not a highlight reel. It's messy and beautiful and unpredictable. If we spend all our time trying to curate a perfect version of ourselves, we miss out on the real magic of living. We miss the learning, the connection, the laughter that comes from messing up and trying again. So wherever you are right now, whether you're starting something new, trying to rebuild, or simply figuring yourself out, choose progress. Celebrate your growth. Keep going even when it's hard. Don't wait for perfect. Perfect is a moving target. Progress is real, and it's yours to claim. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep putting in the effort. even when no one sees it, even when it feels slow. Because that's where the real transformation happens. That's how you improve every day, not by being perfect, but by being present, persistent, and committed to your own evolution. And remember, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you already are, day by day, step by step. One of the most powerful things you can ever tell yourself is this: I am enough. It sounds simple, but for many of us, it's one of the hardest truths to believe. We live in a world that constantly tells us we need to be more successful, more attractive, more accomplished, more likable. From the moment we wake up, we're flooded with messages that make us question our worth. And if we're not careful, we start believing that we have to change everything about ourselves to be valued. But here's what I've learned through my journey, through every high and every low: I was always enough. Even when I didn't win the crown I wanted, even when I didn't get the part I auditioned for, even when people doubted me, when I doubted myself, I was enough then, just as I am enough now. And so are you. Believing you are enough doesn't mean you stop striving or that you settle for less. It means you recognize your inherent value, no matter where you are in your journey. It means you understand that your worth isn't defined by your latest achievement or how perfectly you've performed. It's not about comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel. It's about knowing that right now, in this moment, you matter. You have something to offer that no one else can. When I first stepped into the world of pageants, I was a teenager from a small town in India. I didn't look like the typical beauty queen. I didn't speak with the perfect accent. But I walked in with one thing: belief in myself. I didn't know all the answers, but I believed I could learn. I believed I could grow. That belief didn't come from arrogance. It came from self-respect. And that confidence, rooted in knowing I was already enough, is what helped me rise. There were so many times in my career when I was told I wasn't the right fit. I was too Indian for international roles, too international for Indian roles. I was told to change myself, to adjust my personality, my appearance, my voice. And for a moment, I questioned it. I wondered if maybe they were right. But every time I tried to become someone I wasn't, I felt less connected to my work, less grounded in my purpose. So eventually I stopped trying to fit in. I started showing up as I was. And that's when things began to shift. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs you in your fullest, truest form. The moment you start believing that you're enough, you stop chasing approval and start building authenticity. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable, and you begin standing tall in your own space. But here's the second part of this belief: you are enough, and you can be even more. That's not a contradiction. That's the beauty of growth. You can love who you are while still reaching higher. You can be proud of your journey while still pushing forward. You can acknowledge your worth without becoming complacent. That balance between self-acceptance and self-improvement is where real power lies. I've always believed in dreaming big, sometimes bigger than what made sense. But dreaming big only works when you also put in the work. When you show up, when you keep learning, when you stay hungry. Believing you are enough gives you the courage to try. Believing you can be more gives you the discipline to grow. One without the other isn't complete. There's also something freeing about this mindset. When you stop trying to prove yourself to everyone else, you start doing things for the right reasons. You act from purpose, not pressure. You build your life based on what feels true to you, not what's expected of you. That kind of authenticity is magnetic. It draws the right opportunities, the right people, the right energy. Let me tell you something from the heart: there will always be people who doubt you. People who think you're too much or not enough. You can't control that. What you can control is the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the belief you carry deep within you, even when no one else sees your vision. And that belief will carry you through every obstacle. You don't have to earn your worth. You already have it. What you earn is experience, knowledge, growth. You earn your way forward by putting in the effort, by showing up when it's hard, by staying true to who you are. And when you do that, You become unstoppable, not because you're perfect, but because you are real, grounded, and powerful in your truth. So, wherever you are right now, whatever dream you're chasing, whatever fear you're facing, know this: you are already enough to begin. You have everything you need within you. And as you move forward, as you learn and evolve, you will become more. Not to prove a point to the world, but to honor the greatness that already lives inside you. Believe in your worth, trust your journey, and never forget you are enough. And you are becoming even more every single day.